I think we've got a real problem. I think there are two things. In terms of the UK, we've got a problem of price security, which we've heard a lot about, capping. What we haven't heard so much about is supply security, except yesterday when Ofgem announced that there was a real risk, which I've been warning about for some months, of energy rationing because of the shortage of gas and ultimately electricity as well. So on two of those issues, I think we need some urgent rethinking, very urgent rethinking. The events of the last couple of weeks have increased the cost of the capping programme that was announced on the 1st of October because of the downward fall of sterling, and we buy our gas it's designated in US dollars. So we are in a situation where we are going into a winter where we are heavily dependent on imported gas for heat and power, and we basically are going to have a very expensive program of capping. Now, the problem is that it's been cobbled together because it was easier to do to simply set a price for energy rates for business and consumers, for gas and for power. The trouble with that is it's a blanket scheme. And while energy bills rising is a problem, real problem for some people, some households and some businesses, it's not a crisis for everybody. And so there's an issue here about why don't we target this and save ourselves tens of billions of pounds of additional government borrowing compared to the...
Wait, slow down. So why don't we target what?
We should target those who are most in need. Those above average incomes who are not in fuel poverty. We should target all those who are threatened with fuel poverty, which may mean that they spend enough, say, something like 10% of their disposable income on energy. We should basically focus on those, and we should basically look at businesses in two forms. Smaller firms, with 3 million of them. They have very different energy profiles and need a different way of looking at things, and I think we should help them by having a suspension of the VAT that they pay on their energy bills rather than a direct intervention on the price. And secondly, for the bigger businesses, which are really dependent on gas for heat, then we should basically suspend climate change levies as a way of helping them with their energy bills.
What are climate change? So I'm not very good at maths, as I've told most people relentlessly. I'm under the impression that the net zero thing is £50 billion a year we spend on trying to bring in net zero. Would that money be better spent on supporting the poor and the needy?
I think in terms of looking at the current situation in the next year and the next 2 or 3 years, I think there should be certainly a relook at, and the government has said they're going to do that, what is being spent on the overall expenditure on net zero. Climate change levies is one aspect of that for major businesses, and it is a problem for them on energy prices. The issue here on prices is that we need to get something which is more targeted. I estimate roughly that the cost of what I've been proposing would be more like 20 to 30 billion of additional borrowing compared to 50 to 100 billion if we continue to support consumers for 2 years as promised by Liz Truss, and also businesses for 6 months and maybe even longer.